go to Dahlin. So, question from Michael on Twitter. Thoughts on the rumor of Dahlin wanting a shorter term contract? I know you're a busy guy. Did you see these latest rumors before I get into it?
Yeah, man. I think it's bogus.
Okay. So I have never had an opportunity like this to talk about this Dahlin situation, which I got to tell you is becoming exhausting to talk about. Like, it's reaching Ryan Johnson levels that I truly just don't even care anymore. Just whatever, just do something, one way or the other.
I love that analogy. It's I forgot how annoyed you were with that, and like rightfully so.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, man. Go back to college or don't. Like, I don't sign the paper or don't. Whatever at this point, just
Right.
okay. Anyways, so I thought about it a little bit earlier because I was ready for this question. I figured it was going to come. So I think what I wanted to do is take the people who are listening and then the people who listen on the podcast version of this through the entire picture of what I'm aware of, how this all went down throughout the entire from June to where we are now. Okay, so let's rewind back to June. So Dahlin's agent and the Sabres met at the scouting combine.
Red Robin. Oh, shit.
At the scouting combine. I'm pretty sure twice. Once early in the week, another time later in the week before everything wrapped up. You will notice that it is not a coincidence. That is the time, the week, that I put out the article that I did in the tweet that I did about them working towards a contract and then ultimately what I thought was very close to that. So my understanding of what occurred is they had conversations that week. The two sides, again, there was an agreement in place because there's no pen to paper. No. Okay, until that happens, there's no agreement. But the two sides were, I think, under the same assumption that what they were going to work towards was a long-term deal around 8 years, at 8 years, with an average annual value of around $10 million. Around $10 million is what I've always heard. And I still heard to this day is around $10 million as of today. Still heard the same thing, around $10 million. 10 and a half's been out there. We'll see where that ends up.
Okay.
Then the two sides then met again at the draft to basically realign on where they were and to then begin to work towards the minute details of this said contract. So at that time, both sides were optimistic, and I think still are optimistic, but we're fairly optimistic that something was going to get done. Now, the mistake that I think that I made in this was given that information that the two sides felt they were in a spot where they were going to work towards that year times 10 and a half, whatever deal, that it would come to fruition sooner than, to the point now where we still have nothing. When I dealt with the Thompson contract, that took about a week from when I started to hear about it to when I put it out there. And when I put it out there, it happened that day that was happening. Cousins, same thing. I think it was about 4 or 5 days. I heard about it, and then 4 or 5 days later, it was announced. So I was under the same interpretation that something similar was going to happen here. It's really after July 1st.
Okay.
Of course, it's September 15th, and that has not happened yet. So here we are now. So I want to make a few things very clear. There was never any point, nor did I ever say at any point, that an agreement was done, completed, in place. They were close. They probably are still close. I think it could be any day around training camp, fan fest this weekend. Both times make it close, right? Both make sense those times. As to the new reports that are coming out, unlike some people have taken the opportunity with me, I'm not somebody who's going to tell you that somebody else is wrong because I don't know. I don't know who they talk to, where they get it from. I don't know. I'm just going to tell you what I know, and what I know is still consistent. The funny thing I said in the Discord earlier today is like, I wish somebody would just text me and say, "Hey, I'm sorry, but you missed on this one." When really, every time something like this comes up, the opposite happens. I get 1 or 2. Today was 2 text that like, relax, you're fine. Like you're still going to be there. So it's I don't know. So from what I know, 8 years was the last that I heard.
Okay.
Around 10 million is the word that I'm being told.
Good.
I don't. I from the last couple of weeks, I was under. They were still working on the details of structuring. They were still working on the details of no movement clause, bonuses, all that thing. Which
Mhm.
I mean, could
Complicated.
take some time depending where you're at. Yeah, I have not heard anything on it going to 5 years. I have not heard anything at 11.5 million, and I've 135% not heard anything at all about Dahlin being upset about any of this. I don't think
Right.
that's a thing at all. If that's the one thing I would say is inaccurate with 100% certainty, is that
Okay.
there's no upsetness here
That's good
on
news.
either side. So they're working through it. Again, I don't want to say anything is done because I don't know. I think I think what's happening here is
Mhm.
it's been out there for so long now that not that people are I'm not saying he's making up theories, but like there's starting to be theories that okay, what is going on? Okay, there's some whispers maybe he wants 5 years. Some
Mhm.
whispers maybe he wants $11.5 million. I still think it's in that same spot where we're just working through the minor things, and it's gonna come out. And I think this stuff is it's what happens, right? Just if
Mhm.
stuff sits there for a long time that people talked about, maybe he doesn't want to be here, maybe he wants this, maybe they want that, maybe they're breaking up. I just think the money aspect of it and the term aspect has been pretty much set. If for some reason it has gone back
Mhm.
in the sense that they're talking about money again, or a drastic shift in money, or even a drastic shift in years, then something broke down somewhere.
Mm.
That is a possible scenario. I haven't been told as much, but I also don't want to say it's impossible.
Mm.
But I still think at the end of the day, from people who have gotten contract right stuff for me right 2 or 3 times now with other
Mhm.
players, I'm so confident it's going to be 8 years, around $10 million, and it's probably going to be soon. What soon means, I don't know because I've been told soon since the middle of July. So
Yeah.
we'll see. So that's the whole Darlene way it broke down this summer. For anybody who's curious, it's the first time I've really had to like an opportunity to talk it out, the whole pathway of how everything went.
Okay.
So
I like how you went over it. It was good. It was very concise.